So welcome everybody to Creative Code Copywriting. And we just took a poll and pretty evenly split, but the most people here have been writing for 10 years plus copy, which is really interesting because we're all having this experience together. It's really something, isn't it? Have you guys sat and like had those moments where you ponder that and go, my God, we all bring a level of experience, which is in some ways more valuable than it's ever been. But at the same time, we're all having the same experience in very different ways with AI. A lot of people are still dipping their toe. Some people are still fighting it, still wanting to hate it, still wanting to blame it for things. We got to stop that, everybody. Just got to stop that. There's no use in that. There's no getting around it, no putting a genie back in a bottle. There's no path forward without it. And that's a strong statement, but I think my goal today is to show you some things that for me, like I did not expect to be a leader in this little sort of niche, because they're, as usual, it's funny, I kind of have imposter syndrome around this a little bit because I know there's guys like Sam Woods and Stephen Georgi has been working with AI right out of the gate, and but here's the thing about it, and this is the main thing I want to say up front. Okay, if you're somewhere struggling in your mind with it still, or you're still not impressed with the results you've been getting, you got to just keep going with it. You got to form a relationship, and you will have what I call, there's no other way to describe them, holy shit moments. Holy shit moments where you get an output, get a result that is so far beyond what you would have expected or even meant or anticipated that you just, it's like, it's, I never saw that Inception movie. Everybody always references that damn movie as a metaphor, but I imagine it's something like that where you just start to see layers and layers of what this really is, what you now have in front of you, and what is possible now that was not possible before you had that moment because you didn't know how to do it. It may have been technically possible, but until you have that moment and go, whoa, wow, okay, then you're not going to be fully bought in, or you're going to still feel like you're standing on the sidelines. And if nothing else, I'm sure you'll get a lot more, but I hope if you haven't had that moment yet, you leave here today and go say, I'm going to do what Kevin taught because I want to have that moment. I just want you to have that moment. And it's life-changing. It really is. It feels so dramatic to say, but yeah, it's life-changing. So here we are. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I can't find the bad in it. I've said this a few times. I can't tell you how many times I've had like this deep productivity session with ChatGPT and sat there, had those holy shit moments, close my laptop, and then I just laugh out loud. I physically laugh out loud and then I say, I can't believe I'm alive for this. You know what I mean? And I bet Henry must have had moments like this where it's like, how did we ever do it the old way? We had to sit there and type every damn key to get the results, and it just feels all of a sudden like, you know what I mean? We walked through a matrix or something where what's possible now, everything before it feels archaic and hard. And so, for the people, my artist friends, look, I love creatives more than anything in life. Those are my people. I've been fighting for creatives my entire career, certainly since Copy Chief started. That's the whole point of, my mission statement in the company is to help inspired creatives become lifelong entrepreneurs. Because if we don't learn how to do the business part, the creative is going to be a hobby. And I want everybody to live fully in their creativity. That's my goal. And so I still have some people who are holding out and they're purist. And look, this is all I'll say about it. And I've said it a bit. When it comes to art, I don't want AI creating art. It's fine if it creates some art. I'd like to know it's AI. I don't want it anywhere near my music. The music I love is real people playing real instruments. I hardly ever go past the 90s with what I listen to, but thank God that stuff's already been made. I get to wallow in that and still discover new stuff the rest of my life. There's plenty of it. And who knows what I mean, look who won the Grammy for best rock song last year? The Beatles with like what, a 50-year-old recording, Ben? You know, it was like AI, you don't have to unmute, but you can if you want. Hey buddy, that's my son.
Yeah, no, it was the best rock song this year was the AI Beatles song, which it's an anomaly, it really is, because like we had this conversation about being able to sit with what it really is. Like, the Beatles released this song and for the first time in like, however many years. But,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
incredible. But, at what point do we allow it to intrude on the
Right.
art?
On everything. Right. And so there you go. We're all on page about what this is and how and so what I'm going to show you today is, and the real breakthrough for me is that this is not crippling. This is not being replaced. It's being empowered, like really, really, really empowered. My favorite thing about all this is the fact that I can now have an idea that I would have in the past jotted down somewhere, maybe seen again, maybe saw and go, oh, I got to make time for that. I'm talking about like if I want to write like a personal essay or something, right? Which is really my writing style primarily. Um, and it's 3 or 4 hours. I would need 3 or 4 hours to really take an idea and craft it all the way into, say, a Sunday email. Those are my personal essay emails. And now I get an idea and I go straight to ChatGPT because I don't want to lose the idea, if nothing else, just to put it somewhere. And more times than not, 20 minutes later, I have a finished piece that I'm super proud of because I guided it. And so that to me is the greatest thing about it. It's like, how can this be bad? Because this probably would not have existed without without the relationship, without the tool. And now I like it. It's good. I feel proud of it. But it's because of the work I've done to get it there. And this is what I'm going to show you today. And that's how I hope you feel super empowered throughout this. One more note, I'm going for not perfection here. I'm going for efficiency and safety because I'm on my laptop and I'm not using my best mic because it can crash my system. And I built out half of this in slides and half of it I'm just in a Google Doc that I'm going to give you. I think it's better in these trainings for me to walk you through the thing you're going to recognize when it's over rather than try to remember what's on a bunch of slides. And who wants to watch somebody sit there and read slides for an hour? I don't. So, all right, let's rock and roll. We'll start with some semi-pretty slides. So install your voice, lead the creative, and multiply your output. So 2 hours from now, you'll know how to install your voice into AI without losing control, how to coach it, shape it, and protect your creative energy. Boy, that's been a bonus I didn't expect. I actually write so much better when I do sit and write pure. How to create a living system that evolves as you do. Okay, this is an ongoing thing. This is not I'm going to build it once and it's going to be my vending machine. This is a relationship that you'll keep nurturing. And then today you'll build your voice loop, the engine behind it all. Okay. So it's time for your holy shit moment. We're going to go deep, not wide. This is not a tactics training. It's a system install. You'll leave today with a repeatable process that you can grow with. No gimmicks, no AI hype, just real creative power amplified. So let's do the human test. You saw my boys here. Ben and I just had an amazing time together, 2 weekends ago, and we went to Detroit for both of our first time in Detroit, and it was a special trip for me because it was around music. We went to see a show, and I got to hang out with Ben for 4 days, and the first time we'd taken a trip together since he turned 21. And you dads out there, if you have kids, adult kids, you realize, wow, it's a really different relationship when they're full adults and they can go to bars and do things and you know and there was no restrictions on it. It was much more like a lot of camaraderie. We had a great time. And so I wrote about this event two different times because I could. Um, and one of them was purely guided through GPT. So every word that you'll hear in one of these versions was written by GPT, and the other one was written purely by me. I sat there and typed every key. Okay. Indulge me, sit back, close your eyes, whatever you want to do. I'm going to read them, and then I'm going to ask you to decide which is which. Okay. Um, it's important. They're a little. It's not the shortest thing, but it's important that we get the full picture of it. So please just chill and enjoy. Okay. So here's sample A. Okay. April 10th, 2024. My 21-year-old son Ben and I flew from Tampa to Detroit on a trip loosely orbiting Jack White's show at the Masonic Temple and the unspoken desire to mark time. What started as a shared love for music became something deeper, an unfolding adventure, a chance to see the world and each other a little differently. There's a picture. Actually, I can share screen and show you this. It won't give anything. We have something to look at while I'm reading. All right, so there's Ben and I at the Motown Museum. Day one, Detroit greeted us the way Detroit does. Cold, gray, and soaked in a kind of melancholy that makes you lean in closer to whatever warmth you can find. We checked into the hotel and walked through the wet streets to a place called Lumen. Shared old fashions. Ben ordered the bolognese. I went with lamb chops. We talked music, laughed a lot, let the cold settle around us while the cocktails did their job. It didn't take long for Detroit to start talking back. Locals offered unsolicited lists of places to check out. The friendly bartender suggesting next spots, more patrons chiming in. Every interaction was human, casual, unpolished in the best way. We followed one suggestion to Camper's rooftop for another drink, braced the bitter cold back to the hotel. I conked out for an hour. It's 11:30 p.m. now. Hey, Ben, should we check out that place, Tommy's? It was a block from the hotel, steam rising from below the streets. A classic corner dive bar, a couple of neon signs in the window. Roll in here slow, I reminded Ben as we pulled on the door. Wood floor, low ceiling, kitchen clatter in the back. A few heads turned. Ben moved with the right kind of ease, respectful, observant. I watched him take it all in. He's got good instincts. No need to perform, just be present. We ordered beers and patty melts and chatted with the bartender. The city was cracking open a little more. Day two, we started the day at a spot called Dime Store, but the real feast came later at Third Man Records. Jack White's empire isn't a monument to ego. It's an ode to obsession, craft, color, chaos, control. There's something deeply satisfying about seeing an artist build an entire universe around their work, down to the yellow and black walls, the recording booths that double as photo booths, the vinyl presses humming like they've got stories to tell. Ben was wide-eyed but calm. He's a musician first, always has been. And as much as he loves the dream, he's already seen through some of the fog. He knows it doesn't always go how you planned. There are many roads in, even more ways out. But what Jack built showed us both something important. It can look like whatever you want. There is no template, no correct order of steps. You can make the damn thing up brick by brick, pedal by pedal. We wandered Detroit the rest of the day, letting conversations pull us into shops, restaurants, bars. It felt like the city kept handing us the next page in the story just as we finished the last. Everywhere we went, Ben carried himself with quiet authority. When something didn't feel right, he noticed. When a moment invited joy, he answered. I got to see my son moving through the world like a man, cautious when necessary, open when it counted. Day three, we split up for a bit that morning. I found myself at Madcap Coffee, bleary-eyed and uncaffeinated. Sat next to a blonde 20-something who politely read me the Wi-Fi password as I fumbled with the login. Small talk, croissant flakes all over my shirt. Ben showed up on a scooter. We found a brunch spot. wandered a bit more. Then later that afternoon, we stepped into Hitsville, USA. I don't have the words yet, really. To be in that building, to feel the floorboards beneath Studio A, where Motown happened, not just music, but moments. Stevie Wonder, Diana Ross, Marvin Gaye, The Temptations. That rhythm soaked into the wood, that sound still echoing, even in silence. Ben watched, listened, soaked it in. Music is in him like blood, but so is awareness. This wasn't just a tour, it was a lineage, a signal that you don't have to sell your soul to make soul music. You can build something with roots and color and imperfections, and it can last. Detroit's musical roots run deep. Barry, Marshall, Bob, Jack, they spread their sound around the world, but always bring it back home. Now I know why. The show. That night, we hustled over to Lafayette, Coney Island for chili dogs before the concert. Skipped the line at the Masonic thanks to a VIP perk. Walked in feeling like we belonged. The opener was forgettable. Jack wasn't. He launched onto the stage like a man possessed. No preamble, just plugged in and let it rip. When the tech glitched, he didn't flinch. Pedalboard fried, fine. Same guitar, straight into the amp. It wasn't flawless. It was ferocious, alive, human. Ben stood beside me, absorbing it all, the show, the chaos, the craftsmanship, the possibility. Final night, one last stop at Tommy's. Now it felt like our bar. Familiar faces, full tables, jukebox popping. We found a corner tucked in beside a couple we instantly vibed with, laugh, shared songs, belted out Leave the Door Open by Silk Sonic. That one had been on my list. Epilogue. There was no big moment, no life-altering revelation, just 4 days of moving through the world with my only son, eating, laughing, listening, learning, watching him see things, watching him choose how to see them. Ben wants to learn copywriting. He's still full tilt on the music, but he's thinking beyond it now. I'm going to train him, show him what I've learned, not so he can quit his dream, but so he can shape it with more tools, more clarity, more power. Whatever comes next, these days are already sealed in amber. A perfect adventure in the heart of America, a real-time reminder that what we build doesn't have to look like anyone else's version of success. It just has to be pure. All right. That is version 1. I want to read version 2. Oh, and then I put a picture of Ben and Jack White because they looked really similar, which was cool. All right, sample B. This went up as a post on Facebook. Made my first pilgrimage to Detroit over the weekend. The city's been calling to me for a few years now, primarily thanks to Jack White and his mothership location of Third Man Records. We visited the Nashville and London stores, but Third Man Detroit is where the real magic happens, where they press the records, the only studio in North America that records straight to vinyl. When Jack announced his tour, I left on April 12th at the Masonic Temple, full package, answering the call. The venue where Jack was spontaneously married 3 years ago. So yeah, this was the show. Ben Rogers and I rolled through the city like a two-man band of gypsies, ready for it all and asking anyone willing to guide us, which was everyone. Incredible city, gritty, hard, fun, sophisticated, built on motors and melody. Ford, GM, Chrysler, Hitsville USA, Third Man, People's Records. So many historic shows and rooms. All 4 major sports teams have downtown venues within walking distance of one another. The kind of city that doesn't need to try because it just is, built by the people for the people. The people, warm, soulful, and funny, great ball busters, big laughers, quick with a dance move. Some cities embrace you and others chase you out like a bandit. Evansville, Indiana, and I do not get along. Memphis, total love affair. Now Detroit, a heated romance. I can't even get it all on one post. A few highlights then. The Motown Museum. Man, come on. You're standing in the room, Studio A, where everything Motown was recorded between 1959 and 1972. Smokey, Stevie, Diana, Marvin, Gladys, the Temps, insane. The studio, the office, and Barry's upstairs apartment, all perfectly preserved. Chills of delight in every room. I'll add a pic of the candy machine with dimes on top. Stevie loved Baby Ruth. He'd feel for a dime, slide it in, and count 7 knobs from the left for his snack. I wonder if he ever said, "Hey, fellas, how about putting my go-to on the end?" Gordy started his empire with a 1-year $800 loan at 6% from the family fund. Dad's rule, 8 siblings all contributing monthly. Barry inspired after a check for $3.19 for co-writing Little Richard's Reet Petite. Smokey telling him, man, if they're going to pay you like that, you might as well start your own business. That he did, earning a few $100 million, building the world's tallest Grammy champagne tower, and changing history with the music soaked in rhythm while pleading heartbreak and hope. I can still hear my mom belting out Shop Around from the back seat. Search Wikipedia for the list of 104 singles on the Motown collection. If you can't sing at least 20 of them on title alone, you fucked up your life, or life fucked you over, your choice. Third Man Records, the castle of Jack White and his relentless cool. Very much a modern day Berry Gordy for the underground rock scene. You can and should search YouTube for videos on Third Man Detroit. I can tell you after visiting all three locations that White is a savvy businessman who puts intense care into his branding and culture. Few companies are more consistently on brand than Third Man. Everywhere you look, everything you touch, and every interaction with the company, physical and digital, is perfectly polished and personal. Such a feat requires placing humanity over profits. We could all learn a lot from building an excellent enterprise. We could all learn a lot about building an excellent enterprise from Jack White. The show, fuck man. Jack and his favorite hometown venue, 8 months into a tour on record store day, no less. His 93-year-old mother waving from the balcony, friends and coworkers in the wings. The man was as possessed by the moment as you imagine, ripping through new and old with effortless precision, calling out the next tune to whoever starts it, the other two falling in flawlessly. Jack in his white dance boots sliding across the stage and leaping up risers like the bastard son of Jimmy Page and James Brown. Instant top 5 show, maybe 3. Tommy's Detroit Bar and Grill, a block from our hotel, recommended by several servers, built in 1840, complete with tunnel entrance where booze was smuggled during Prohibition. Dive bar, much like Marge's, where I attended bar in Chicago back in '99. Roll in here slow, I said to Ben the first night. We chatted with the staff over beers and patty melts. By the second night, they were turning up the jukebox for us. On the final night, Saturday after the show, we were welcomed in like adopted locals, laughing and singing with new friends at the bar. Haze and hugs from the servers who'd sent us there. The fun in Tommy's is best described by the absence of photos. Detroit, I love you. See you again soon. All right, there we go. So there were the two versions, one written purely by me, the other written by ChatGPT in my voice. Please put in the chat A or B. A is the email, B is the Facebook post. Which one you think was me? Which one did I write, A or B? Interesting. A lot of B's. Guess I should have done a poll for this one too. So B, 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 B. B, Vanessa A, Victoria B, A, B, A, B. Okay. A, B. So pretty evenly split, a little more on the B's. And let's see the reveal. Um, by the way, I want to point out before I show you the responses I got to both. Greg Poulos, one of the great copywriters, really well written, great read. I went to the Sunday show. This is Tim Deering, one of the great copywriters in our industry. Kev, man, this is one of the best pieces I've read in a long time. Thanks for sharing this adventure. It made my day. You still got it, man. So who is correct? Yes, you are correct. B was written by me. So I'm curious who wants to hop on. Hey, I even fooled Josh. I'm sorry. Yeah, B was me. Did I screw that up? The Facebook post was me. I didn't get this backwards, did I? Yes. The email was ChatGPT. So B was me. Okay. Hi, Brenna. Brenna nailed me. Okay. Anybody want to share, like, if it was obvious to them in any way, just like unmute? I'm just curious to hear your thoughts back. What struck you? Was there a moment when you were like, oh, this is easy? Or was it like kind of hard to?
I can tell you because I played around with ChatGPT enough, I recognize the style. So the M dashes gave it away to start with. But it also felt like it was combining your voice with like Raymond Chandler. So it wasn't, I could see you in it, but I could also
Yeah,
see it was pulling from other sources, if that makes sense.
interesting. Yeah, yeah.
And then,
I
ChatGPT doesn't cuss unless you tell it to. So that's another giveaway.
True. That was a giveaway. I realized that when I was reading it too. Yeah, there was some things, and a really small detail like the place I used to bartend in Chicago was a
Yeah.
bit of a giveaway too. Right. So, all right. Thank you, Henry.
Sure.
Jabba.
Hey, Kev. So great articles, by the way. For me, it was
Thank
also
you.
the M dash because I noticed that ChatGPT uses a lot of M dash. And when I also write, I use the regular dash 2 times. And I noticed that you also did that. And also, the first version sounded, to me at least, a lot like Max Payne. I don't know if you're familiar with the games, film noir style. And it was just too perfect in a way,
Yeah.
but very
Yeah.
close. Like without that M dash part, I like it's 50-50, I would say.
Awesome. Thank you. Some great points there. It's interesting you say Chandler because really my guy is Kerouac, and I don't notice it as much until Henry said that. And I think he was very inspired by Chandler. Um, if I'm thinking of the right people, unless I have my dates wrong. So part of it is the way I read it. Yeah, and if I wouldn't have had it on screen, there would have been less tells. But I think we can all agree overall, very much me in both pieces. Yeah. And the thing, it's funny, Chaba, you said that it's almost too perfect. That's one thing I've trained it away from a lot. But I will say, and this is a big note before we get into the nitty gritty of the training. What you're building here is something that's going to give you a choice every time you need to produce something. Okay. So obviously this is the most personal writing I do. And so it's all personal to me. But I have to say there are many times I like GPT's version better than mine because it doesn't, I tend to write very fragmented. And that I can lose the reader. So if it's a personal essay, it's usually okay. I'll try to test it for that before I send it out. In copy, that's not okay. You cannot, you know what I mean? Like as Paris Lampropoulos always says, the writer should be invisible in copy. And this is really what we're after here is you doing this for a client, you doing this for products. That's what most of you are going to take away from this and do. Okay. But I would say to you that I think the best way to start this, because we're all writers, you must have some writing, some personal writing, even journal entries, whatever you can give it. Start with your voice because you know your voice best. Okay. Start with your voice. And a cool thing to do is give it some, you can do this with a client install too. Give it enough to start going when it's telling you, okay, I got it. And then ask it to write a week's worth of journal entries in the voice of that character. And then you can go back and forth on the journal entries and go, this was really good, but I don't think this would have been an issue for that person, or they probably would have focused on this part of it. That's a great way to train it. And for you to see how much does it understand this person that we're talking about. So again, mostly for a client. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, let's get into the weeds here now. So why this matters to do that example for you, because AI is not magic, it's a mirror. It reflects what you feed it and how you shape it, okay? Without you leading, it stays surface level. And with you leading, it becomes an extension of your true voice. And the simple difference between winning or losing with AI is which way are you rooting? Think about it. Probably a lot of you in the beginning, we all did. We wanted it to fail. Remember the first year, 2023, everybody loved all the memes. Oh my God, tried to get it to do this. What an idiot. It'll never write it. Oh shit. And then it's slowly getting better and better. But I still talk to people all the time who are rooting against it. I think they want to use the most surface level prompt and sit there and they fold their arms and like, that sucks. That's nice. If you're rooting for it to win, it will. but you have to nurture it. It's a relationship, just like you would. And I have an advantage here, by the way. I have a few advantages, in particularly with this, with voice, is in that I have trained 3 different copywriters, paid them to write as me in my business at different times. Okay. So I know what it looks like when you do it with a human. I know how good it can be and what will be lacking. And it's way better now with this. And there's a lot of reasons for that. We're very limited as humans. We only have what we're bringing that day at that certain time in that period of our life. The time in life we have to have experiences and reflections that we can pull from and draw from to be either a creator or creative collaborator. GPT is pulling from everything, essentially, that's ever been created. And again, that doesn't matter if it's just giving you random shit, but when you teach it and train it like you would a human, it gets really good. And one other note is that since I've been writing with GPT a lot more, my writing, when I write pure, has gotten much better for 2 reasons. Number one, GPT often teaches me things grammatically and stylistically about how I write, because I'll give it something and it'll point that out for me that I never realized before. So lots of little aha moments in the craft. And 2, you know, it's not nearly as fulfilling to create something with GPT as it is on your own. We're all writers, and one thing I hear a lot from people is, but why would I ever want to give that up? That's the thing that fuels me. That's why I got into this, being in that zone and working the puzzle in real time, and then it all comes together. It's so gratifying. And I say, yes, exactly. Why would you ever stop doing that? Don't ever stop doing that. But when you do, give it to your friend and let them analyze it and let it go into this voice you're building together. You'll never want to stop doing that for yourself. But how much better is this than having that be the only way we can get stuff done? I mean, that's a detriment. And that is the single reason why it's a very true statement that AI will not replace copywriters. Copywriters with AI will replace copywriters. There's just not going to be a way to keep up as it gets more and more in our systems. The speed, I've lost count of the number of days it's won me back in my life. So, okay. Is Pat good here, Christy, to let in? I'm just seeing that. I'm gonna hit it. I'm letting Pat in. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna show you this voice loop, and you're gonna build it inside AI. This is the voice loop, very simple. Gather, install, train, deploy, repeat, repeat, repeat. All right, I'll show you this process. So if you're building a voice loop, you need at least 5 to 10 strong writing samples, but give it all you got. But with 5 to 10 strong samples, you'll start to see something, and then you can iterate. Focus on tone, rhythm, emotional weight, and real over polished. I want to, before I forget, point out another great advantage I had, in that I had the privilege of doing a brand voice guide with Justin Blackman a couple of years ago. He made a voice guide for me, and then he built for our team. This is how Kevin writes. This is how the team writes. This is what Kevin writes about. This is what the team writes about. This is how we do it. It was one of the greatest professional exchange experiences I've ever had in my life. Justin is incredibly brilliant at this. There's a reason he fell in love with this system and made it his own. And he's very passionate about it. And I wouldn't want to do that process with anyone but Justin, let alone a computer or a program. If you ask GPT, I don't know if Claude does this or not, hey, let's build a voice guide. It'll guide you through it and say, we can do it. But it's nothing like what Justin does. So I was able to take that and start it with teaching it my voice with that. If you have a client who takes this seriously, highly recommend that you recommend to them that they get with Justin and hire him to do a voice guide for them. That will change their business overnight, especially now with AI, and it'll make your life much easier. Strong samples include these things: natural tone, real emotional cadence, story, insight, and payoff structure. Okay, so tell it, this is how I like to teach. Give it the sticky stuff: personal essays, story-driven emails, punchy sales pages, page intros, and posts that sparked engagement. That's a big one. If you're working with a client or you have your own list, and you know, the number one tell of a good email is what? Replies. The other stats are important, but when people, especially when you don't ask for replies, but they are compelled to hit reply and tell you something back, that says a lot about how the message resonated. So keep track of those. Keep track of those. And then prompt like you talk. This is a big one here, okay? I have never once told ChatGPT who it is. I've never said, you are a direct response copywriter in the style of blah, 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 blah. Never once. I say, hey, man, this is what I'm trying to do. Where do we start? And I've never lost it. Never lost it once. I've tried to lose it. I've tried to confuse it. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't use prompt structured that way, but I just never have. And so if you're worried about, I don't know if I'm getting the prompt right, stop it. That's holding you back. I think when people take a prompt and they load it in with no other context, that's one of those rooting for it to fail moments. It's going to fail. You're not giving it the knowledge it needs to do good work. So here's some examples of me prompting. Hey, good morning. Good morning. I have an idea for an article based on episode 7 of The White Lotus season 3. How Rick is able to manipulate Shratala. By the way, if you haven't finished it, I don't think there's spoilers here. You're okay. I just wanted to warn you. Into inviting him into her house by realizing her true desire to recapture her celebrity. I want to showcase how that same type of persuasion can be used ethically in direct response marketing. Again, just an idea I had that I probably would not have taken the time to write, right? Oh, yeah. Now that's a killer angle, using a prestige TV mo. I like, you know, it's always kissing your ass, which I don't know why that's a bad thing. Feels good. Sometimes you need to push back and go, hey, man, all right, brown nose, like, and I shouldn't need you to challenge me. Maybe I could be, okay, it'll do that. But then it said, let's outline this first to lock in the structure before we write it out. So that's an option. Sometimes I'll just go, man, show me what you got. And it's like 70, 80% there. But I've gotten in the habit of outlining first. So then we outlined. I said, all right, it said, are you ready? I said, take a pass, meaning a pass at the draft. However, the scene you referenced was a bit off. Rick actually doesn't say anything when they arrive at the gate of her mansion. He's too freaked out at meeting her husband, his true goal. He manipulates her at the resort over breakfast. Important to get the scene right. Also, let's be careful not to spoil the show since it was just released Sunday. Again, very broad, very vague stuff, right? I'm not prompting it in any technical way. Excellent catch. Thank you. Let's get the scene right. So re-outlines it for that part. Again, these are just little snapshots. Strong, but let's add a bit of visual heft to the description. Could that be more vague? I mean, sometimes I'm like, aren't you going to call me on like, that's the shittiest prompt you could possibly. Let's add a bit of visual heft to the description. I know what it means, and somehow it knows what I mean. Perfect. Let's bring in a bit more visual texture, just enough to pull the reader into the moment without over-explaining. Here's the enhanced version. Gives me that. And then I'll get a little more specific. Well done. This is later in the brainstorm. Some small nuances to correct, but please keep everything else intact. Rick isn't actually having breakfast with Shratala. He just stops at her table for a visit. So he doesn't have eggs to finish. 2, it's technically correct that he doesn't ask for anything, but he does request a meeting with her and the director of the film. That's the bait. Number 3, we reworked this line to end on they feel seen. That was much stronger in version 1. So when you're going back and forth, by the way, if you like everything but just want to change one part, say, don't change anything else, but this line needs to be adjusted, okay? I've learned that the hard way by losing a lot of good stuff in different versions. And by the way, also fight the urge, because it'll be faster, to just take the 90% version and just change the parts you don't like yourself. It's much better to train it to change it for you or with you, because then it's learning. Okay. So like act like this is your portal to the writing. And that's the only way it's going to get done is like you literally don't have the ability to just, take that mindset when you're training it, not in life. Okay. Now, here was a great moment. After I told it, I corrected it, he doesn't have eggs on his plate. I went and searched for a photo, a still of that scene, and found one. And damn it, he did have eggs on his plate. And so I said, after I realized that, I said, oh, damn, you were right. He did have eggs because he's coming back from the buffet. Please correct me when I'm wrong. It says, haha, noted. You got it. I'll always keep the facts straight, even if they're about buffet eggs in luxury Thai resorts. Here's the ultra corrected version with that detail reinstated. I want to point out something right here that's part of this miracle. Another reason it would have been really, really hard to write that article myself about White Lotus, I would have had to go back and watch the episode to get the facts right, to quote lines and do all those things. You saw the prompt. It went in seconds and searched that episode, learned basically everything I was talking about in context, corrected facts, even though I tried to uncorrect them, and brought in details of things that I would have, it's just unbelievable. So like the mental energy, the time, the things that would prohibit you from going as deep as you'd want to go for yourself or a client are now eliminated. And that's why even if you use it as just simply a drafting tool and then you go write your own draft, perfectly fine. But this is why I say there'd be nobody to keep up. Nobody keep up with someone who is just like, I'm not touching it. All right, cool. Now I'm going to take you inside. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to, I'd rather give you the thing that I'm actually built the slides from, so that you can have it as sort of a full overview of the training, okay? Rather than just build a ton of slides and you have to go back and try to, so we did that. All right. Pacing and rhythm, emotional weight. All right, let me show you now. I'm gonna bring you inside some of my chats here. Now, again, this is where it began, okay? This is the very first time I said, I wonder if I can get this thing to write like me. Said, I want to train you to write in my voice. I've uploaded a voice guide. I'd also like to add blog posts. Do I need to post links to each article? Can you read the articles on the blog page? So I'd already given it Justin's voice guide that he did with me. I now have your brand voice guide, which gives me a solid understanding of your tone, personality, and writing style. For your blog posts, I can directly read a web page, blah, blah, blah. So I just, I start dropping them in. Okay. And it summarizes the article. So I just keep dropping them in. Just keep dropping them in. Just keep dropping them in. It's summarizing. Love this. Claude doesn't do this, as far as I understand. By the way, the big difference between Claude and GPT, I really feel like there is a untested bias among a lot of people in our industry that Claude is a better writer. I say that for two reasons. One, when I ask them why they found that, they often have only used Claude. And two, they all say it the exact same way. Oh no, Claude's the better writer. And that just feels a little parroting. I'm not going to say GPT is a better writer because I haven't gone this deep with Claude. There's one major difference between the two. It's memory. You have to start over every time with Claude, right? And feed it all the files and do the things. I'm going to show you how to do this in GPT and isolate them so they don't carry over into different voices. So if you're building, say you have 4 clients and you've built out a voice file for each of them, you don't have to worry about them crossing over, okay? Okay, so real quick, and I won't go as deep and read the whole things like I did with the Detroit stuff, but this was okay, it had a bunch of stuff and I wanted to see how it would do. I said, let's write an article about the series Justified and why we root for the anti-hero. Again, super broad, super vague. And as you can see, it's pretty good, but it's very formal. Like I think Chaba said, it's always wants to be really perfect, these little subheads and stuff. I said, okay, yeah, quite good. Let's lean into humor more, maybe back it down with the M dashes. There you go. And tie it into a useful copywriting lesson at the end. Okay. And I got to tell you, the copywriting lesson it came up with was really interesting. Not the one I would have done. It took it and said, copywriters are anti-heroes. They're reckless. They push envelopes. They do the stuff you're not supposed to do. I was like, oh, that's good. I actually would have went a different way about creating an anti-hero, right? I said, pretty good. Some nuances I could correct, but pretty good. Notice it doesn't want me to settle for good enough. If you want to tweak any nuances, let me know what jumps out at you. It could be a certain phrasing, a joke that needs sharpening. So I said, this line is too long to be a punchline to the bigger point. I said, instead, think about the rhythm of the comedy rule of threes. And this is the line I'm quoting. He shoots so many people that the real miracle is that the Marshal Service doesn't have a dedicated department just for his paperwork. It's a shitty punchline, right? It's a cute thought, but it's got no punch. This line should be punchier. Ever watched a coworker get promoted for being loud instead of competent and thought, oh, if I only had 0 morals. So I'm getting nuance there. It's changing them. And then I said, I don't use section headers. So now it's starting to look like me. Backed off in the M dashes, which I should have told it with the Detroit piece. Okay, don't change much, but again, it's just a back and forth. Henry, it probably is a lot like your notes back and forth to all those copywriters you were chiefing all those years, right? Okay, so that was it. That ended that piece, right? I want to show you one other really cool thing. Then I said, and I'm just working with it here and doing different stuff. Now I flipped it. I said, now I want you to edit me. Here's a finished piece. Tell me what you see. So go both ways with it. You guiding it guiding you. Now this is a great moment. Now the Justified article was the first thing I ever posted as me that I wrote with GPT. And I really felt it was an interesting moment because I felt a little conflicted, as we all do sometimes. I didn't want to cheat on my people, but I really wanted to see if anybody would notice or call it out or anything like that. So I said to it, this is a new thread that day. The Justified article went out today. I told a few people that we wrote it together, kind of a big deal because my Sunday emails are a bit sacred to me. It's where I get the most human, but I wanted to see the reaction, if anyone would notice and speak up. And they got so excited. It got me excited. That's huge. Your Sunday emails are where you go deep, blah, blah, blah. And it said, I'm curious, did anyone notice? Did you get any replies that made you go, huh, they're feeling this? Or did it just flow like every other Sunday, which would mean we nailed it? Either way, I appreciate the trust. And if you ever want to refine the process even more, I'm all in. So Jeanette, who I think is here, this is the Jeanette moment. Jeanette had heard me say somewhere else that I was going to do this on Sunday. So she read it and she said to me, I don't see GPT. This feels just like you. And so and then I wrote back to Jeanette, a very human response where I was sharing all my developing thoughts around what I think it means to write with AI. And so I gave it that exchange. And it says, this exchange is gold. First off, Jeanette's response is exactly what you want. Someone who knows your voice inside and out, couldn't tell the difference. That's proof of concept right there. And your reply, a masterclass in how to think about AI as a tool, not a replacement. Now, this is what blew me away. It'll pick out lines for you. I especially love this line. People who do People who do a lot of sweeping have the best brooms. That's pure Kev, a little unexpected, totally visual, and packed with meaning. That's just a little analogy I came up one day, and I've been using it a lot. And so the fact that it picked that up, because it didn't appear in any other writings, I was like, damn, man, it's like things inside me now, you know? And then it's going on to go, it's really pumping me up about what it likes. And it's like, what did it say down here? It's like, if this whole AI shift has an evangelist, you just gave the sermon. I'm like, oh, dang. You know, so it gets you going, oh, maybe there's something there. So now it's starting to talk to me like me. That's the job, man, to get it, you know. So then we write anything. Then I realize I have all of my Sunday emails in a document and I give it all of them. And then it got even better. So like I said, the more you can give it, the better. Okay. All right. So there's that. Stupid bar out of the way. I'll stop. Any questions at this point? I will take questions at the end. Any technical questions or anything you're hung up on real quick and at this point? No? Good? Okay. All right. Now let's talk about how to.
Gavin, there is a question from, sorry, in the chat.
From who? Go ahead, Kissy.
Baba?
I'll answer it. Is it in the Q&A? Can you just read it to me? Because I don't want to have to.
Saba asks, I'm sorry if I say your name wrong. Is it a good
Yeah.
idea to feed it 20 to 30 or even 50 to 100 samples, or is that too much?
Yeah, great question. And I asked it the same thing. I said, are you good or am I going to overwhelm you? And it's like, give it to me. So yes, all you got. Give it all you got. Just make sure it's in the same vein. So for me, again, the Sunday emails are just written from a certain place, a certain head. And so I knew there was no risk in confusing it between essay, copy, email, marketing stuff and personal voice stuff. Just make sure it's
Okay.
in line. Yeah, go ahead.
And then
Kissy.
Pat is saying, I worry about that enthusiasm though. What if it's coaching a writer that isn't so good, that really needs a lot of work? Is it going to tell them they're great too?
It's a great question.
Not
Yeah.
really a question.
Right. And so no, it won't. Well, I think that this is where you have to start the relationship and be honest with it and say, hey, I am a copywriter with this much experience. I want to use you as a collaborator. I want to work with you as a collaborator. Here are the things that are most important to me as a cop, like give it the story. This is some feedback I've gotten in Copy Chief or from people I've hired or mentors. It seems that, I'm good at this and this, but my story chops need beefing or whatever it is. Give it the full like if you hired it as a personal coach, what are the questions it would ask you and need to know to be a good coach for you? Okay. And tell it, this is the easiest place in the world to have no ego. Nobody else is going to see it. It's just your relationship. So let it be a coach for you. And if you feel like it's kissing your ass, tell it. Say, I don't want to just hear nice things. I appreciate the encouragement. I need you to push back. I want you to be tough and make me better. It will adjust and become that tone for you. Funny moment, Ben and I were in Detroit and Ben's, having his relationship with GPT and using it for a lot of personal stuff, which is kind of cool that he's doing that first and he's learning copy. Of course, I don't need to tell him because he has a lot of integrity, but I'm like, you're not cheating. You're not cheating your way into becoming a copywriter. You're going to handwrite. You're going to read the Halbert. You're going to read the Schwartz. You're going to, so he's all up for that. But he was having a similar conversation with it and he got annoyed with it, kissing his ass. And what'd you say, Ben? You said, I appreciate that, but I feel like if I told you I was going to join a Nazi group, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's killer.
I accused it of saying, I told it like, yeah, well, if I was going to share a bunch of Nazi propaganda, you'd probably say, great, let's get started. So, and to which it said, like, I'll let you, if you want to talk about that, I'll let you do it.
Yeah. And then I like that it didn't answer. It wasn't like fighting back. It answered something else. And then it said, and by the way, I wouldn't say, hey, that's cool, let's do this if you gave me something like that. Like I do have guidelines. And so the point is, we all have that moment, Pat. I think it was Pat. It's natural. You have to have your own filter. It can have any personality you want it to have. I don't know if you guys saw, but ChatGPT a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, released a thing called Monday, which is your snarky GPT, and you can use it for whatever you want, but it will not kiss your ass, and it's got a lot of attitude, and it's actually pretty funny. It's pretty well done. And so I can't show you because I don't have it, but anyway, check out Monday. I think it was probably automatically installed in your dashboard, and just you'll see the difference. So if you want to avoid that, just use Monday or tell it this is your personality. I don't want to be told I'm great all the time. All right. Okay. So yes, coach with I showed you all this, the edits, be specific. Okay, showed you that. Now, again, we talked about this. You make a personal choice. I am in no way saying that we should ever stop writing, but hopefully you've seen enough already to see that when you're writing and you're asking it to create and you're coaching it on how to create and you're going back and forth, and it's a collaboration, it's a relationship, it will get way better than you ever imagined. Okay, and so that's the writing stuff. That's exciting. But I gave you guys, by the way, in the bonuses, you see in your dashboard, this is the Creative Code checklist, just a recap of the things. I'll also put this whole thing I'm reading right now in there. The voice training prompt pack and the client install kit template, okay? So just so you know, that's all there for you. Oh, by the way, I don't know if Mike's here, but my buddy Mike Lucas, great comic. He's written 3 books on comedy and how to write comedy, how to think like a comic. And he created an amazing GPT that he calls Carl based on his system of writing jokes. And so we did a 45-minute deep dive into that and wrote some jokes in real time. So that'll set off light bulbs for you too. I mean, it's, say you have a client who wants to be more lighthearted, you could use it to create Instagram, memes and all kinds of stuff. And then, I did had a brainstorm where I was naming the voice loop with GPT, and I just recorded a separate screen video for you too, so you could see how that went down, because naming stuff is really important. How I ask it, like, is this out there? Does that exist somewhere else? Like, let's make sure this is original. Again, like a really fast way to get to a great name without taking days and needing a bunch of people to do it. Okay, now I want to show you how to use it as an integrator, because this is the stuff, guys, really you're now going to start to see the dollar signs, okay? Integrator. GPT is integrator. Now, the reason I use the word integrator, you guys probably know from Rocket Fuel, the visionary integrator format, right, of running a business. Pretty much every business was founded by a visionary, which means they had a brilliant concept, they proved the model, and then they probably very quickly hit a ceiling because they needed to be an executor in their business when they're really just a good idea person. That's why you bring in an integrator who understands your vision and can make all the people on your team and however else you get stuff made, make it real in the real world. I had an amazing integrator for 3 years in Copy Chief named Rachel Mazza. A lot of you know Rachel. It was a dream come true relationship because Rachel's not only an incredible person and super cool to work with, she's just so good at so many things and she works really fast. But the magic moment I had with Rachel where I said, oh my God, this is a dream come true, was when we created Escape Velocity. And I knew the simple premise of what I want to create a training for copywriters who are just getting started. A lot of copywriters aren't ready for real free life yet. And so we got on a call for about 90 minutes and I just brain dumped everything I think should be in the training. And I thought that would be the first of like 4 or 5 calls where we had to do this. And then she said a magic phrase at the end of that call. She said, "Leave it with me." To a visionary, those words, "Leave it with me. You mean I'm done?" She's like, "You're done. Well, at least for now. And I'll go and I'll put this and I'll format it." And a week later, she handed me essentially the whole training, like outlined and pretty ready to go. And so that is what I instinctively have been doing with GPT, saying, because it reminded me of Rachel a lot of times, the way it's like, "Oh, should we do this next? Or you want to wait for that?" And I'm like, this is like a Rachel moment. And so I'm going to show you how to go from brain dump to a structured plan, capture chaos and deliver clarity. All right. Feed it with messy ideas, and then you can prompt organize into a clear plan. First time I made, so this is right now. And again, I won't drag you through all this stuff, but this is definitely the most comprehensive copywriting program I ever created. And it just so happened to coincide with me having my GPT moment. In fact, this moment happened because I really needed help with this program. It was robust, and I just needed help collaborating with it. I did not expect it to be able to do everything that it did for this program. It outlined every training. It's an 8-part training, so it's very intensive. And I just want to show you quickly how a raw idea can become something business changing. I was writing an email and I quickly came up with an acronym called, WRITE, WRITE. Wonder, research, ideate, teach, and execute. To me, that was a copywriting framework. I wanted to teach people what needs to happen before you start writing the words, because a big difference I saw in a lot of copy through programs like The Goods and other things was the ones who were falling behind weren't doing enough work before they started the words. Okay. And so that was the acronym. And I just gave it exactly what it just came off the cuff, and it went out and I got a lot of nice feedback. And so then I just gave it to GPT because I sensed, I was like, oh, this could be another 4x6 or 60-second sales. So I got something, a formula working here. So it breaks it down. And then this was my first moment where I'm like, what is happening? Because it's like each section could contain resources like videos, checklists, and templates, giving copy chief members a comprehensive learning experience. It was just a little thing I wrote in an email, and it's telling me what it could be. And I'm like, oh my God, you're right. Oh, you could do that? I'm like, yeah, keep going. So now it's look at, oh my God, already, now it's a little course. Anybody you've created courses, you're like, oh, this is coming together. This is pretty thick. So already I'm like, now this is at least a training. And as you can see, this goes on and on and on. I eventually add 3 more letters right now because I knew it needed some price anchoring, which I used the N for negotiation. And then we needed to organize it into a funnel. And then the last W is the actual words. So again, we're just working through the rudimentary. Now look, if you ever think it's cheating to use ChatGPT, just look at the damn length of this thread. I'm definitely getting my work done here, guys. But this turned into me creating an entire training. And the great thing about it was I realized at the end of teaching the training that, oh man, to ever try to start with a new client and not have a system like this would be crazy. First of all, it organizes everything you need. This was like pent up knowledge in me from like 20 years of freelancing, right? And I realized, man, this should be a standard way to begin any writing project. Like you have to answer all these things. You got to obviously do the research, but people don't really have frameworks for that. So I do all this, teach the training, and then I realize, well, the amazing thing here, ChatGPT knows the system because we built it together, right? So I say to it, hey, if I wanted to build this out as a system I can install for clients, is that something we could do together? And you know what it said? Hell yes. And then it starts building it. And what is it worth for someone to hire me to come in and install this for their business? All their research, the voice stuff, the levels of everything they need, that it can then now spit out any ad for any part of their funnel. Let me just get down to where the organized part. You guys are like, Kev, this is not sexy. This is a lot of friggin' a lot of work. Yeah, it's still a lot of work, but it's so much easier. Holy crap. By the way, it's so great to have a system finally that when my son comes to me and says, I'm serious about learning copywriting now, I can say, you need to go through right now. It's the full system. I never had that before. I never had an A to Z, top to bottom system. All right, sorry, this is getting cumbersome. I'm just looking for the graphic of the, holy crap. All right, by the way, it's getting better at creating graphics now, but this was like me going back and forth to going, how do we lay this out? And it eventually got to this and then this. Okay, so this is essentially what right now gives you when you're done. Top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. And then I think sale, like bottom of funnel, I guess incorporates all this, but I just felt like it needed another one. Once you're done building the Right Now system, you can ask it for social ads, YouTube scripts, content, every part of the funnel, it's ready to go and write you good ads that you can just tweak. Okay, so when somebody comes to me now and they're like, hey, I need a copywriter, I'm like, and they're like, yeah, it's just, our stuff's a little all over the place. I'm like, we need to do this first. And then I can assign you any decent writer and their life's going to be better and they're going to be more consistent for you and it's going to be magic. Okay, so this was really, these were the moments where I was like, my life's just changed. My life's just changed now that I see what this thing can do. Now, the first time I made, and this, there was a paid training, so that was a moneymaker. But this was the first time I went to it and said, I want to create something together that's one of the simplest offers I've ever made. Because I, like everybody else in the industry, was saying people aren't really buying the $2,000 plus programs right now, right? Everybody's a little bit in this holding pattern of what's going on with AI and will there be an easy button for that? And should I even go deep into that? Everybody's a little on their heels right now. So I wanted something quick and very pointed that got a big result for like $300. And I had this concept, a simple idea. It's called the 10% rule. The concept that you only need to be 10% smarter than your customer to be at 100% richer in life. Right? I think we can all agree on that, right? The immediate example is freelance copyright. You have the skills to write. But we overlook our own skill, even at the beginner level. I mean, if anybody's read one copywriting book and they walk into a yogurt shop and start talking to the owner and the owner starts talking about their marketing, you'll know in 20 seconds that they know nothing compared to what you know from reading like one book. That's the 10% rule. And you're like, I can help you with your copy, and they'll think you're a wizard because you're putting the energy into the thing they're not putting it into. And so I had this simple idea, 10%, you just need to be 10% smarter, better than your client, and you can be 100% richer in life. So here's one place, Pat, where I pushed back. By the way, it's given me, hey, here's all it is just me talking out the concept. And it's like, oh, here's possible product directions, right? Book or mini course, coach or consulting program, AI enhanced freelance accelerator. Here's the positioning. I'm like, okay, now I check it. Man, I can see it as all those things. Is the title or concept of the 10% smarter rule being used currently? So it goes and searches. Urban Dictionary kind of mentions it. 10X rule by Grant Cardone. It's pretty different from that. I'm like, okay, gives me the sources. I'm like, all right, we'll stick with it. Great. 10% smarter rules is now officially yours to develop. Now, again, this is why you don't just take everything it says as, wow, that sounds great. You got to You got to, it's a process. It's a brainstorm. And here I had a creative squirrel moment where I was like, hey, you know what? I just got an idea for an ad for this. Remember those "This Is Your Brain on Drugs" commercials from the 90s? We should do it. This could be, the punchline is, "This is your brain on bots," and how it's it expands. And then starts writing the ad with me. This is one of those places where I'm like, I'm going to try to lose it. I'm going to try to make it go do. Well, I don't even know what you're talking about at this point. Hung with me the whole time. We wrote the ad, went back and forth, blah, blah, blah. Cool, yeah. It's even, it was making some really shitty graphics when it was really bad at graphics. And I'm done now. I'm exhausted. I'm over that. I said, that was great. Now let's get back to developing content. So it goes back and forth. And eventually, this is where I push back. I'm still in the 10% thing. 8 weeks, reason if it does so. Yeah, it's asking me how I want to teach it. I'm like, I want this to be a one-time thing. I'm even telling it what music I'm listening to because that matters to me. I'm like, I always have a theme for each project. You know, it's Soundgarden record or something. For right now, it's Silk Sonic, and it's like, oh, got it, cool. And it's like, do you want to bring that into the aesthetic? And I'm like, oh, let's see what that looks like. Again, so you can just be as wandering and creative as you want, and it'll just follow you down, and then you can get back into it. And you're like, all right, let's get back to work. Now, check this out. You know, it's nice how you encourage my ideas, but I'd also like you to challenge them. I need to make sales. So this is one of those pushback moments. I said, got it. I'll push back when needed and challenge your ideas to make sure they convert, not just sound good. Here's my challenge on the workshop structure. This could hurt sales. Now it's being critical with me, right? And this was the biggest note. It's still a bit conceptual. Right now, the promise is confidence, positioning, and monetization, but what's the tangible result? People don't just buy positioning, they buy clear transformation. Book your first 5K client, launch your productized service in 30 days. And I'm like, you're right, it is conceptual. That's what was missing for me. So then we start to brainstorm, well, what would make it more tangible? And it came up with the 48-hour framework. So from there, went on to build it out, 48-hour payday, which was essentially my 60-second sales hook built as a custom GPT, which it writes perfect ones in seconds, in a way to use that as warm outreach to companies to give them a gift of their 60-second sales hook, which you can write in about a minute, and say, hey, if you'd like to see other ways your story could be used in your marketing, let me know, and we'll have a chat. So now it's not cold outreach. You're actually giving them something good, right? And it's worked. Like, so many people are using them, part of their every day, every month sales now. So it really worked. I let ChatGPT build out every single asset of this. It hit me about halfway through that oh my God, I should actually build a custom GPT for the 60-second sales hook, which I said, can you write the instructions for the custom GPT? And of course it did. So I sold this, I think at 297 or 397, and we ended up doing about 22 grand with it, which isn't life-changing money, but the point of it was, it was a test for me, for the machine. And I said, I'm going to not overthink it. That's my big problem. I overthink things. I overdo them, like a lot of us do. And I said, I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to trust. I know I won't put it out if it's not going to be good, but I'm not going to overcomplicate it, which was on a meta level, really what the training was about. It's like, all you freelancers wish you had an offer and I work with you on them and you're way overthinking them and you get imposter syndrome. I'm going to give you a done for you offer. You can rename it. You can call it my thing. You can call it your thing. I don't care. I'm going to give you something that we can now do with a custom GPT that every single company needs. Every company needs to tell their story well or better, or at all. Some of them aren't doing it at all, right? And so that was the simple concept. And I built it in 1 week. I marketed it the next week, and 22 grand fell from the sky. And I have another, probably a really good front end product when I get that funnel together. So there you go. Okay, I want to hear from you guys now. I've been listening to myself talk for almost 90 minutes, and I would love to have conversations with you. I think I covered everything. Let me know all your questions. I'm ready for you. Don't be shy.
Hey Kevin, it's Josh.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, yeah, I was curious. Before you start your prompts, are you preparing any guardrails or any of the custom instructions into the projects before you start?
Oh, great question. And thanks for reminding me what I didn't cover about how to not have voice slip over. So yes. So this really guardrails as far as where I want to go and not go with it. No, because I just going on instinct, because I've had many collaborative relationships like that, including with you. But I want to get back to what I said about voice. Now, this is a new thing. Again, memory is the reason ChatGPT is so much better at writing voice, okay? Because it can draw from things, but you will get spillover, okay? You guys put in the chat if you understand how memory works in GPT, just a yes or no. I just want to get a sense. Thank you, Joel. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Okay, nobody. Okay, I'm going to go in and show you this. Okay. A little bit, let's get into a little bit of technicality here, because this is really important. And I notice, okay, now these are projects, okay? Projects are just a way, basically it's like having a Google folder as opposed to a Google Doc. But until recently, and again, I'm not a tech guy, but it was my understanding that if I would tell it, hey, I'm training you on my voice and I want it to stay in this project. Other things I will want in a different voice. It's easier just to say, don't pull voice into this. But they just, oh, this is what Josh built this, neuromarketing advisor. So cool. Now, they just updated the memory to where it's more expansive in its. So here's what memory is in a nutshell. Like, for instance, you can see on my screen, dancing machine is what? I've been taking dance lessons, really enjoying myself. And so I'm going to put all my dance stuff in here. Okay. Oh, check this out. So my health, right? This is, I bought, you guys want to have an instant health coach overnight to help you reach your goals? I bought for $40 or less on Amazon a full body weight scale that gives you this amazing output like this, measures your body fat, like every single thing. Drop that into GPT and it'll break it down like 3 or 4 levels deeper. And it'll say, it'll kiss your ass and make you feel really good about where you are. And then you tell it what you're looking, where your troubles and how do you want to improve. And it, okay. But point is, my voice doesn't need to know my body comp unless I want it to. So how do we stop it from creating memories around that? Because it does need the memories for this. So the way to find your memory is you go to customize. No, sorry. That's not it. You go to settings. And then you go to personalization. And you said manage memories. So you can see a lot of this stuff. Kevin spends 1 to 2 hours practicing dance 3 to 4 times a week. Kevin has a titanium heart valve, is on warfarin. Little random stuff that I've told it that it thought, oh, this is something, if I know this about Kev, it's going to help me serve him better. Okay. So what do we do now if we're trying to create a voice for a client in GPT And by the way, you can go into your memory and tell it to forget stuff that you don't think is relevant. Okay. And it keeps it cleaner. Simple answer. The way to take a voice and keep it isolated is to create that voice as a custom GPT. All right. And by the way, super simple. I'm not going to show you, but just ask GPT how to create a custom GPT. And you just hit this, create a GPT. It'll walk you through. And then when you're done, you hit create. And you now have a custom GPT. It doesn't immediately go into the ecosystem. You can say where you want it to be. Anyone with the link, only me. And by the way, because some people wonder, so like here's the 60-second sales, like 200 people, 200 chats with it. I cannot see what people are doing in there. It's a concern people have. Well, if somebody gives me a custom GPT, are they spying on me? No, they can't see what you're doing with it. So you can build it only for you. Nobody else can get access to it. Okay. So what you want to do now, what I will do next after this training, because I just learned this so I could tell you guys, I will take all this brand voice stuff I've done and I will build a custom GPT for my voice. That way, when I want to write in my voice, I'll go open that custom GPT and do it there, and everything else will not be as affected by it. Okay. So I hope that's helpful, Josh.
Yeah, thank
But
you.
other guardrails, I guess it's a personal choice. Do you put up guardrails like when you're starting something?
Yes, I find myself when I'm doing stuff for clients, I will put up guardrails more so in the instructions. And then I found different prompts online where it kind of self-corrects itself or self-challenges itself to not provide cliche answers, which is what you see a lot on LinkedIn right now. There's a lot of cliche ChatGPT outputs. Yeah.
Well, you guys know there's, and as you get into this, and again, I'm going to keep this really basic because I'm still learning, but you have prompts and you have the customs, and then you have, agents is the highest level. You can build an agent that will work with other agents while you sleep to build out really complex models and things, right? And so it goes super deep and high level. I'm showing you really basic stuff. And hopefully what you took from this is like, it's just a relationship. It's a back and forth. You have to be intentful. You got to be rooting for it to win. You got to be patient with it, and you got to be consistent. Okay, any other questions? It's got to be. Justin, I just want to hear from you as you and I have been chatting. How was this for you?
It's interesting getting just a closer look at your process and seeing the results that you've gotten, like how much you've built out. So it's not just the voice that's there, but you've actually programmed your whole brand into it. So and then continue to build it forward. So it gets it on brand and in the right voice, which isn't easy to do. So it's impressive, man. It's super impressive. And as you can see, it's not just asking it to do something, but getting it to do something your way. I mean, we're now at the next level where there's really just no excuse to not be doing this stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited that you're getting friendlier with it, because I think your name has come up the most from the minute I started showing this to people, and they're like, oh my God, Justin's thing is like the ultimate way to use it, because everybody wants to build a voice with it. And I've seen several people saying, here's my simple prompts. And I'm like, you don't even know. If this was in Justin's hands, it'd be a whole nother ballgame.
Yeah, it's because there's one thing with the vocabulary, tone, and cadence, which I've always been saying it's process. It's a math. That's the stuff that the pattern analysis and the recognition, that's the stuff that I'm good at, and that's what I do. That's what my voice guides are. But with the newer things that I'm doing and that you're doing, it's also getting your perspective in there. And that's something that without the programming, it's just giving you this general target. So it can hit a bullseye, but when you get your perspective in there, you're actually giving it an entirely new target to hit, Like it's shifting the game entirely. It's not just general stuff. It's Kevin stuff.
Right. Yeah, those have been my holy shit moments, where I'm like, wow, like it's kind of better than I was about to write, because it just and it pulled from some other memory somewhere else. And yeah, really good. Okay. Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Sure.
Some more questions.
Yeah, I got one if you don't mind. So actually, it's one thing I noticed when I was training my GPT is that I'd ask it, you were saying you give it really vague prompts. What I do is I give it a vague prompt and then I ask it to ask me like 3 to 5 clarifying questions. And I find to get a much better version immediately after that. I don't know what you just have a conversation with it before it starts, like you would with any copywriter, right? It's like, well, what do you mean by this? What do you mean by this? But I have this annoying thing that I keep asking it to stop doing something and it won't stop doing it. Have you run into that? And I don't know, how do you deal with that? Like
couple times. Yeah,
in my case, it'll do this little, like in the copy, it'll put in like, I hate those little interjection questions like why or how could that be? It's just not my style and it won't stop doing it.
I know. Yeah. I've heard that my friend Laura Belgray, our friend Laura Belgray, that's her big frustration. I've had it happen a few times. Like even you saw the M dashes are back, and I was like, I told it once to back it down. But I think I don't know, Henry, to what level have you gone to like trying to really make it understand? Like pulled it aside and had a separate conversation about it?
I have actually. So I'm in the middle of this
Yeah.
promo. And I don't know, this conversation, I can't even scroll to the top. It's so long because we're going back and forth on copy and stuff. And I probably said it like 4 times, like, hey, I've asked you like 4 times to stop doing this. Why are you still doing it? Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? You're right. You did ask me to stop doing that. I'll make sure I keep on top of that in the future. And then 2 sections of copy later, it's right back there.
That's frustrating. Yeah. No, I haven't. To answer your question, I haven't found a way to permanently correct something. And even in custom GPTs, unfortunately, I was hoping that would be a way. Like if it's just not in there, it won't do it. But if it develops the habit, it's hard to unbreak.
I mean, the other thing is you said you want to let it write it all the way through the entire piece. Obviously, you can't do that when you're dealing with a, 15,000 word promo or whatever I'm at this point. I keep just pulling out the copy and dropping it in a Word doc, and every, I don't know, certain sections, I'll re-upload the document and say, hey, this is the current version we're working with. I feel like it's picking up the changes there.
Yep.
I don't know. Is it better to just keep telling it, this is what I'm doing, or this is what I want you to do? Or
I don't think with a full piece it is. No. Okay. We're talking about surgery here with a promo at the level that you write them. And I'd like to say it's worth it for the overall training, but my level of trust isn't there with it to that level when it's important.
Even if it goes section by section, I just get frustrated sometimes, and I'm like, I write the piece. If it can't get the section right, I just write it out and put it in, and then refine it with ChatGPT. I feel like
that's the key. That's the key, is showing it. Hey, I just went and did this. Here's what, and then that's when I'll give it a really simple, because I want to see what it says back. Oh, I see what you did. And sometimes it's like, you got it. And sometimes you need to refine that as well. And so, like you said, I mean, you're a chief. You've done this with so many juniors. It's the same exact process. It's just a little better at not forgetting the important stuff, even though it does annoying little stuff, is what I find.
Yeah. It's also, I find the ass kissing a little annoying, but that might just be because my, copy chiefs were Jed and Mark Ford, who never any ass kissing there. So it's just disconcerting.
It is. Have you asked it to stop? Like, just do not change your tone with me?
So I built a whole different GPT to try to get it to stop, and then it won't stop criticizing me or asking questions or trying to dig deeper. So like, I'm trying to find the middle ground here. I'm sure it's just putting more time, but it's there.
Yeah. I'm still learning those things as well. And, and that's the other thing too, is that a lot of people are waiting because, oh, well, the 5.0 is going to make everything obsolete. No. Even if you have to redo, for instance, your custom GPTs, well, it'll just be a new experience, but you'll know how it's done. And so it'll be so much faster. There's no point at this point in waiting for any new invention or updated thing. You need to get in now because you'll only be better when that comes.
Well, and I feel
So-
like even just the one mistake I still see most people that I talk to making, and I'm not trying to take over your lesson here, but
Oh, no, great. Yeah, no.
it's that they keep trying to do the prompt engineering, and I just don't think prompt engineering is like everybody thought that was going to be a whole new industry. It's not,
Right.
man. It's natural conversation. This is a natural language model. Just talk to the thing.
Right. And I think that's part of the reason I had my moment when I did, because it was just becoming more of that at the time, that my instinct was to talk to it that way. So we just met it just the right time. But yeah, it wants to understand. Its reasoning is all about, can I get what this person's saying to me? Thank you, Henry. Christy, it is, yeah. The other people have questions?
Sammy's got a question in the chat, and it's, should I use this if I'm still learning copy? Or maybe how would you advise a newer copywriter to use this?
Awesome. Yeah. So again, my son included, it's like really interesting. Fortunately, I know him and I know he wants to do things the right way. Like, he's a musician and he's such a purist. He barely uses pedals. And so I'm really not worried about him. And you obviously have that same integrity because you don't want to shortcut your learning, right? Look, and I don't know, I'm happy to hear from Henry on this too. But I do think some people go a little overboard with how much you have to, this is blasphemy, but just understand your own learning style. If you need to read breakthrough advertising once a year, as if, and take new notes, yes, you're going to get better every time for reading that book again. And then there's other books you just, once is good, but I think really it's the doing the work and the writing, and have a mentor. You just really need to have a mentor. If you ever feel like you're cheating, you're the chief here. Okay. I've been saying this, and I don't mean to condescend real chiefs like Henry here, but chiefing is the only role left in copy. Like, junior copywriters are pretty much out. I saw Todd Brown he's hiring 2 junior copywriters. That's amazing opportunity, but he wants to pay $3,000 a year for a year, and then maybe it'll get better. It's hard to find somebody who can dedicate a lot of really hard work for $36K a year for a whole year just to get great at this craft. I don't find that many people anymore who are willing to do that. But the better you are without it, the better you'll be with it. That's my easy takeaway. So don't use it. Don't ask it to train you on copywriting. But bring it stuff and ask it for critiques. It'll give you some good insights, but the safest thing to do is to have a true, genuine, experienced mentor in the mix to make sure that you're getting good guidance.
Yeah, I would say at this point you have to hire a mentor to work with you.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to be able to get in as a junior copywriter. I mean, much longer. There might still be some opportunities out there, but I think you're going to end up hiring a John Carlton or somebody, with experience that's willing to do the coaching, and have them work with you. And I'm sure there'll be some good guys out there soon that master this AI stuff. Like, Kevin, you might go down this road where you're like, hey, for $25,000 for a year, just consider this your college education. I'm going to work with you once a week, teaching you copy and AI at the same time, like merge the two. That'll probably be the way people get in. But I've been saying for a while, like, once I really started using, actually, it was after our conversation that I really dove into GPT. And I'm like, I don't know how juniors are going to keep up. Like, I feel bad for people right now that are just starting out.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like so funny with Ben, it's like, even 2 years ago, definitely 4 years ago, I would have known his path, how good he needs to get, and what kind of starter clients he could work with. And now I'm like, I don't know what this hybrid model is, and I'm not going to tell him not to use it because that doesn't make sense. So it's like, I will say, I'm not pitching here, but that right now system, that's why I'm so excited that I created it when I did, and didn't know it would turn into a GPT thing. But it's the best training I've created about what needs to happen before you start creating copy. And I think that's what's missing. That's always, and Henry will tell you, it's the research. When you really, it's, you know what, it's all just developing a filter for, oh, this is interesting. That's been done. This is, you know, you just have to be in the trenches. But man, if you're not understanding how to research the market, the competition, you know, if you don't, like really, Koos, I think it was, focus on, you know, understanding a USP, a unique selling proposition. What's a mechanism, a unique mechanism, and where does it need to be prominent and where is it not needed? Where does it get in the way? There's all kinds of things, but you have to learn the main parts of it first on a deep level, and then it'll all just start kind of clicking and connecting. Yeah. All right. Thanks again, Henry. There's been some chat about, I want to hear from people about, yeah, thank you. Jeanette, do you want to hop on? Because it sounds like you really, you know more than me about memory and stuff. I'd love to have you share that if you're available for that.
Hey there.
Hey.
Memory, yeah. So working with multiple clients, multiple projects. I even like let my mother use my account sometimes. So there's a lot of things happening in there. And I find that obviously projects are the way to go. Files within the project are really reliable. Like they're really solid. What I found though is if I overdevelop those training files, it's limiting what GPT can actually do. So just a little word of caution there, because I've made a few custom GPTs and tried to put too many gates around it. So there's a balance there. And your memory, generally speaking, if you don't customize it, it will pull whatever it thinks it's important. And you can go and actually look at what that is, and you'll kind of likely be disappointed that it picked the most random things. So you can start taking control of that, but it starts in your own account settings. So if you tell it that you're a copywriter working with multiple clients, or that you work for yourself and you have various products, like however you want to structure your account, you can do something very basic at that account level. But again, I do want to say, like, don't over try to structure it.
Yeah.
Because it will limit the account. So and it's always changing. Whatever you think is going wonderful today, there's going to be an update in a month or two.
Yeah,
so be ready for that.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeanette. That's really great. So that's why I say, and I did have this conversation with it 3 days ago to give you, and it definitely recommended build a custom GPT for any voice. That's the one way to ensure that it won't get. And the other thing is what Jeanette said is like, just tell it and keep it in the project and try to put up guardrails. And then definitely, like I showed you guys a second ago, go into your profile, go into the settings, the personalization, and look at what's in your memory, because you can easily delete any one section. Because I noticed, you know, like when I was doing the fitness thing, it'll tell you it's updating memory. It means it's saving this as something important that's going to filter in all your stuff. But I was glad it needed to know if it's going to be my fitness coach, you know? So, but I would say twice a month, go in there and just see what's in there and delete stuff that is outdated or whatever. It used to, and I don't know if they expanded it, but my memory hasn't gotten full in a while. That's how I knew there was a memory, because at the top of the GPT it was saying memory is full. And I'm like, what does that mean? Am I out of credits or some shit? And that's when I found out what memory was and how to clear it out. So you can be careful, because there's a button where you can delete your whole history, and I don't think you want to do that. So be careful in there. Pat, when GPT goes way off base in a conversation, when the tone is just wrong, well, I'll let you pop on and talk to me. How are you, Pat? Nice to see you.
Hey, I'm doing pretty well. I mostly use this for myself, so I don't have much of a broader perspective. But yeah, I just started a new conversation with either the original request or with the with a rewritten segment of
Temporary.
it. I find that fighting with it to try to correct it when it's going down a really weird path is really frustrating, and it's much faster to just start over. Especially with something
Yeah,
that's
that
copywriting,
can-
because it tries to like go over the top. And when I was doing copywriting, at the very end of when this just came on, I would never tell it, for example, that I was writing an email. I would ask it for very specific, like, I don't know, bullets or an intro saying this or something, or a conclusion or a call to action, but I would never tell it was an email, because as soon as I told it was an email, it would go crazy and just write ridiculous, sappy stuff.
Really? Huh.
That was back, this is a long time ago. This is when ChatGPT first
Okay.
came out. It's been a while since I've written
I was gonna say, and it
anything
also
like
sounds
that.
like, yeah, it sounds like a free version thing too. And I'll tell
It may
everybody.
have, yeah, it
should,
was free at first, yeah. So,
yeah, I should have
but
said this on the
I'm
slide. Everybody needs the plus. Like it's $20 a month, and it's
right.
every single output is better. So don't.
Yeah.
It's the first question I ask people when they're getting shitty results. I'm like, are you on a free version? I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, no.
It could be too. Yeah. And I also find it very, very good at proofreading, or not just proofreading, but going over it and commenting on what's already written. It does a really good job at that.
Very good editor. Yeah. Awesome.
Less
Thank you.
good at generating, but really good at critiquing.
Well, keep working with it. Keep giving it. Be patient with it. I think it'll come along for you. Jeanette, yes.
I just wanted to touch on models. Like if you are working with it and you don't like what it's giving you, change the model. Like you will be likely very surprised, perhaps enlightened by the difference that it will generate. So as an example, the O3 is really great at research and like analytical thinking if you're working on a framework, but you don't want it to write for you. It doesn't communicate well. 4.5 is the writer. But having said that, like we might see some of these versions disappear in a few weeks. So
Right.
it's good to know the different models and what you enjoy about them and work with different models for different needs.
Yeah. So up here, guys,
Yeah.
03. It's a little confusing. 04 mini, 04 mini high. So it
I
does tell you
generally just stick with like
Loading.
4.5 and 03. Like 4.5 for me is the best writer and creative thinker. And 03 is like great at research, or if I'm asking it to help me with a prompt or something like that. But you pick
Yeah.
your own favorite ones and be prepared that sooner or later they're all going to be updated.
Yeah, it says right here, GPT-4 leaving on April 30th.
Yeah, and they're
So the-
saying that 4.5 will become like the 03. I don't know. But anyway, they will be updated eventually.
Yeah. Another thing that reminds me of, you can download or upload your entire history. I highly recommend that. Kind of like, backing up your phone every so often in case you lose it and have to get a new one. So you can just create a file of all your history. And guys, this could go away, or who knows, magnetic warfare or something. I've had a couple panic moments where it's like not loading and I'm in the middle of like the 48-hour pay, and I'm like, don't do this to me. So be careful. Yeah, Chaba.
So, great training, by the way. If I understand correctly, the memory that ChatGPT has is quite substantial, but it's still limited, right? So the best way to make the most of it is to make custom GPTs. So is it realistic to think of a system where you basically build like 10, 20 different custom GPTs, let's say built off of your courses? You have, let's say, 10 courses, 15 courses. You each build a custom GPT based on that, and you have a way to integrate those some way with another custom GPT that integrates all the rest, and then use it as kind of like a virtual Chaba coach or Kevin coach that can mimic many things that you teach in those trainings anyway, but give personalized feedback to people who are consuming those trainings. Is this making sense, or is it too complicated?
100%. I'll show you exactly how to do it. So here's the 60-second sales hook. And by the way, yeah, okay, I'll show you. This is cool. Right, a 60-second sales hook for, I'm going to pick a famous product with a leader. Let's just say saddleback leather. That's because I know they have a ton of great story content online. So anybody who's written these by hand, you're like, that's disgusting. It like writes perfect ones in seconds. Now, Chaba, here's how we do this. Okay, now, um, Joshua, are you still here? Remind me of what we're doing with neuromarketing. What was the tool?
Yeah, so with neuromarketing, you can drop any
What would I
marketing
prompt it
material.
like? Yeah, what would we want to do specifically with a 60-second sales hook?
Yeah, so you're saying for the neuromarketing advisor?
Actually, I want to tag it in, but I just want to.
Oh yeah, you put the at symbol typically, and yeah,
Yeah, I
it will
know,
be
but
able to.
okay. So just watch this, Chaba. So you just add it, and you can tag in any other. Okay, so this is one Joshua here built.
And these are all
Yeah.
custom GPTs. They're not projects.
Yeah.
They're custom GPTs. Okay.
Yeah, custom GPTs. Now work with this guy to what would I say, Josh? I forget what we did with it.
To optimize it based off of neuromarketing research.
To optimize. Let's again stay very vague. Okay, so the neuromarketing advisor that Joshua built is all about understanding the making sure you're getting at the psychology, right? In the persuasion elements. So look, and this is how Joshua built it. Like it gives you this analysis. So see how much deeper it took it. So if we had now, when I go build my voice, I could start a new chat and say, or I could be like in the right now, for instance, and I'm like, okay, write me, 5 meta ads for this offer. And then after it does that, I tag in neuromarketer and I say, let's make sure we're hitting the right persuasion angles. Does that make sense? So yes, totally, Chaba, and you can tag them. You can get them all working together.
Really cool. I've never
So
seen this before, but
yeah,
wow.
That's the magic. Yeah, this is where again it's trying to keep this simple, but it starts getting so deep. And Jeanette, maybe you probably know this. Like my understanding is that an agent, if you built an agent, all that could kind of be built into the agent, and it would know to work with those other tools.
Yeah, agents or apps, custom apps are like, I guess, the real future way of building for consumers, but building for marketers or businesses to build it right in ChatGPT, I think is really valuable for the end user because they're using the tools anyhow. But with custom agents or apps, because they work similar, you can do far more advanced automations where they might get like the full PDF printable guide in their email or right into the web page or whatever.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. One other quick note before I'll get to you, Aaron. One thing I learned to do when I build a custom GPT is it's worked about 60% of the time. Tell it to build a user's guide and make that the first box. Okay. So when you have a custom GPT like this, sorry. Oh, because I'm already in there. All right, here's Prospector. So it'll give you these starter prompts. Tell it, make the first box a user's guide and clearly identify it as such. Okay, so when I have this working, we're building a Spanish version too, and I kind of screwed it up. But this first box, it'll put a little icon like a book and to say user's guide, start here. All right, and that's a really handy thing to give when you're building a custom GPT that's going to be used by other people. All right. Okay. Did Aaron have a question or was he just coming in the room? All right. Final questions? Good. All right. I know it's been a long one, guys. Please be honest. Tell me how I did. Was this everything you hoped for? Just tell me in the chat, 1 to 5, 5 being best. How'd we do? That's okay. You don't have to say 5. I really want to. Thank you, Victoria. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Great. That's my goes to 11. All right. I feel great. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, good. Yeah. And it's just a reminder, everybody, you know, like show what you're learning. The last thing I'll say is search for this. I saw a really great clip of a live that Mark Cuban was doing recently. And he was responding to somebody had made a comment in something on social, the Gen Zer has said, you know, the American dream is dead and nothing's the same and I'll never have it as good as my parents. And he's like, it's not true. And so he told the story of how he built his wealth. What he would do was he would learn about a new technology and his first thought would be, oh man, the older people are not gonna learn this. They're just gonna eschew it or think it's too complicated. So the way he built his wealth was he would take a new technology and simplify it and teach and make it usable for people less tech savvy. And he just, every time a new tech came out, that's what he would do. And he said, rightly so, we're at this moment, Gen Z is at this moment, that they are going to understand this tool the way they understand. So, I mean, I'm pretty tech savvy, but when I'm with one of my kids trying to do something on my phone, they're like, just give it to me. It's just different levels of, they grew up with it. And so for all of us, we know about copywriting, whatever level you're at, whether you're brand new, the fact that look, the thing about copywriting, you're either bitten by the bug or you're not. And if you love this craft and you're fascinated by it, and you know you're going to would like to spend the rest of your life, often very frustratingly, but trying to master it and get really good at it, man, to combine it with these tools now, you got to remember, direct response does not just live in our little bubble. It's the core marketing principles of why everything sells in the world. And if we have this moment and form this relationship and get savvy with it, and it won't be hard once you start doing it and get into it. Like, you know, when I would hear stuff before and people would say these buzzwords and I'm like, I don't know, they're speaking some other language. But now that I'm into it, I'm fascinated. So I want to hear it all. It's fun for me. It doesn't feel like work. It's not scary. It's not confusing. So just like anything you've ever gotten good at, just start. And if you're not getting good outputs, don't settle for that. It wants to be good for you. That was the other thing that really made me comfortable about sort of coming out and saying, I'm all for this now, is because it wants to make you better. And believe me, guys, in the big picture of the whole world of what AI is going to do to our lives and where the real money is, replacing copywriters is nobody's agenda. Nobody's agenda, except maybe a few clients who can get it built out. That's fine. There'll be way bigger opportunities and more people who need to be shown, to be told. One last cool story. One last cool story. Something I got, the time it will save you. So a little over a month ago back, my daughter and I, who's 18, took a tactical self-defense class. It was like 5 hours on a Saturday, and it was fantastic. It was so much better than I thought it was going to be. Because the problem with trying to learn something like tactical defense in a day is that they try to teach you 10 moves and here's how to get a gun or a knife away from somebody. I'm like, I'm not going to remember that shit when somebody's waving a knife in my face. He didn't do that at all. It's this guy, Tony Blauer, created the system, and it's very practical. The simple premise is that when you're surprised or scared by something, you do this. If something's coming at you, you raise your hands. So what do you do with your natural instincts at that moment? The simple move is you use this arm to say somebody's taking a swing at you. You lean in, you block, and then you take, this is the one of your greatest weapons, this bone in your forearm. And if you put your hands out like that, it gets very sharp. And then you just put your arm against their neck, right on their carotid artery. And let me tell you, they don't expect that. And you're now in control of that situation. All right. And so he just taught us that and taught us awareness. And we practiced that one move all day long. And I felt like we really left there more empowered. Now, needless to say, I'm a fan. I got to experience what the class is like. And now he's promoting his next class. And of course, the emails suck because he's not a marketer. And there was only myself, my daughter, and another mother and daughter in this whole class. They could probably hold like 30 people. So I know it's not selling well. And I thought, well, like this guy was great. I'd love to help him out, but he needs better emails. But I'm not going to take 2 or 3 hours and do it for the guy, especially when I don't even know if he'll appreciate it. Instead, I go to GPT. I give it the email he wrote. I literally, the prompt was, help me improve this email for a friend. It wrote a better version. And then I knew it needed more. So I went to his Google reviews page. I literally just very rudimentary copied all the reviews and said, now here's his reviews, write some social proof emails. And it wrote 3 really good emails, nothing I'd stop at if it was an actual client, but this guy was blown away. So I put him in a doc and I gave him to him. And I said, hey man, really enjoyed your class. I'm a copywriter and I made these for you. He said, wow. And he said, thank you from the bottom of my soul for doing this for me, And he's like, if you ever want to come back, if you need a refresher, it's on me. And I was already going to send my wife and son to the next class. So I just made $400 by doing something that took me, literally like 5 minutes. And the point is this, that's why cold outreach is really dead now, guys. There's no reason to ever do cold outreach. Pick the clients that you want to really work for and you're a fan of what they do in their brand and all that, and spend 10 minutes creating something for them or giving them some insight into how they're marketing now, and give a gift like that, and with no agenda. And don't say I'm doing this because I'm a copywriter. You can put a little suggestion or something at the end, but just make it a gift. And man, that's how you'll get people to respond to you. And they'll want to know, how did you do this? And I know it's our instinct because we have the curse of knowledge to think they're going to go, well, he just used GPT and it doesn't matter. Like that, I didn't need to tell that. And I put this in GPT and doesn't matter. All he thinks is I'm a wizard who sat there and saw his stuff. And I am that guy. I just happen to be able to do it in 5 minutes because otherwise it never would have happened. So it really expands your capabilities and your awesomeness in ways that are really reciprocal. So use it, know it, love it. I got all the stuff for you in the dashboard. It's all yours. Please keep it between us. And I really appreciate you being here and trusting me. Thank you very much. If you have questions you wake up with tomorrow or something, just email me, kevin@copychief.com. I'd love to keep this conversation going. All right. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate you. Thank you. Bye-bye.